Okay. Okay, Craig, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well today, Aiden. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. Thank you for joining us
Thank you
for
for
our
having me.
for our first official live Google Hangout. And we appreciate you so much for agreeing to do this.
Of course.
So, for those of you who don't know, Craig Lewis is a certified peer specialist living and working in Massachusetts. He has struggled immensely with mental health issues throughout his life. However, he has successfully transformed this into a life of wellness. Craig is now the successful published author of Better Days, and here is his manual that has been published, and he has traveled around the world speaking about it and helping other people change their lives using this manual. So Craig is here today to discuss Better Days and answer some questions and get people to start using this daily in their lives, as well as offering it as support for other peers. So Craig, tell us a little bit more about how you came up with the idea of Better Days.
Well, Aiden, thank you so much for having me. It's my honor to be here with you and all the people watching. Um, Better Days is a coping skills, perspective building workbook, guide, journal that a person can use to figure out how to manage the things in life that they face in ways that can best result in a peaceful, uh, calm, and hopefully uh, disruption-free life. The workbook came about as a result of when I first began my recovery process in 2006. I went to a school called the Consumer Provider Program, and uh, in that program, I learned communication skills and about the history of psychology. And included in that curriculum was a certified peer specialist training. So I took the exam at the end of my school year, and I became a certified peer specialist. I, as part of my schooling, I had to do an internship for 300 hours. So I was very fortunate to be accepted to do my internship at a place called the Michael J. Gill Rehabilitation Center in Jamaica Plain, Massachusetts. And part of what was required of me was to quote unquote leave something behind, or in other words, once I had left my internship and was completed my hours, something would stay behind that I contributed to the program. So I spoke with my supervisor when I began my internship, and I proposed the idea of setting up a support group. I had no idea how to do it, have never given a group before. However, I was supported and encouraged to do so, so I developed a proposal called Better Days, and came up with a proposal, and my supervisor at the time said it was great, and we put up some flyers and announced it to the community, and a whole bunch of people, 15 plus, maybe 20 people, came to the first support group, and it went really, really well. And at that point, the supervisor said, "You don't need me here. You have this under control." So for the remainder of my 300 hours at the internship, I give this group once a week. With the night before, I prepared the passage and the worksheet. And since then, I'm now working as a certified peer specialist, and I'm very, very busy. But for a great period of time, I was volunteering at a place called the Boston Resource Center, and I gave the group there, and as well as I worked at another peer-run center in Boston, and I gave the group there. So I had many, many, many opportunities uh, to prepare curriculum. I'd write the passage based on whatever it was that I was struggling with at the time, and then the questions to help myself, the kind of questions I would want to be asked to figure out how to manage the situations that I faced in life so I could have a happier and more peaceful and less disruptive result.
Hmm.
And I had given this group on and off throughout the years, and at some point when I began working more regularly, I realized I did not have enough time to commit to the group. So I really just put the pages in a drawer, and I forgot about it. But I then had the idea that I had this whole body of work, and that maybe I could put it into book form and self-publish, and people would respond to it. So that's what I've done, and people have responded to it in ways, that I could never have foreseen or imagined. And people respond to Better Days. It's written based on my personal lived experience of learning how to manage the day-to-day struggles that I faced in order to live a happier, healthier, more satisfying life. And I now am very aware that the the ideas and the concepts in Better Days absolutely apply to my life. And just this past week, I had a major struggle, and after a couple of days of really struggling, I realized that if I applied, the concept of that is really prevalent through the Better Days workbook to my life, that I could feel better. And that basically entailed me asking myself, if I wanted to feel better, are there things that I could do to feel better? And once I said yes, what are those things? And as soon as I was able to acknowledge that I wanted to feel better, that there's things I could do to achieve that, and come up with an idea of things that I could actually do, steps to take, I was already feeling better. I felt better within 5 minutes. And even though I had struggled for days, and I did not apply what I knew worked as far as my coping skills, and
Mhm.
I was pretty off balance for a few days, I applied these skills and I felt better, and I've been feeling better ever since. So I've learned that it works. It works for me. It
Mhm.
seems to work for a lot of people, and um, people all over the world are responding. So it must be something that people are benefiting from, and that brings all the joy and happiness in the world to me, to know that I've been able to help someone else with their struggle, and perhaps feel empowered and able to take care of their situation so they can be happier, healthier, and live a more satisfying life.
Yeah, yeah, awesome, Craig. Tell us a little bit about the workbook itself. Give us a short, brief overview of what the workbook actually entails.
Thank you. Absolutely. There's 37 passages and accompanying worksheets. Each passage is based on a lived experience I had, a struggle, something that I faced in life that often in the past could derail me, accompanied by three questions that are intended to help the reader or the user or the support group member, whomever, um, really figure out for themselves. For example, to name a situation that they faced in their life that has resulted in them being upset or set off, to come up with two ideas of how they would like to see a situation like that play out in the future, by kind of um, coming up with an idea of how we would like things to go, and coming up with an idea of how we would make that happen. So the hope is that somebody would, go through these worksheets and these passages and figure out for themselves, but based on their own, being the expert on themselves. They know themselves best. They know what works for them. They know what sets them off. They know what brings them calm and peace, and to figure out how to achieve that, so that when we're in the situation of struggle, when we're in a situation of being triggered or dealing with a trauma or whatever happens that upsets us, for some people, stress, frustration, dealing with people on the public transportation, or a supervisor, or a mate, or a loved one, or a friend, or anybody, a landlord, a neighbor, whomever, to be able to, when we find ourselves in those situations, to be able to think for a second before we respond, and have, if possible, either back off from our emotional response and give ourselves the time to have an intellectual response, so that we'll have a much better, uh, things will turn out much better. And I found that that really applies to my life very, very, very directly. And I seem to have found countless people who feel the same way. So there must be something to that is common amongst all of us. And some of the topics that I write about, one is called biting your tongue.
Mhm.
And that's it's a saying. Some would say, like, I have to bite my tongue to keep myself from saying certain things, or acting in certain ways, or doing certain things that could get me in trouble. If, say, for example, something happens that I'm set off by, I'm triggered, I'm upset, I'm compromised, I'm vulnerable for some reason,
Mhm.
that there's situations where I'm going to want to just strike out, and or strike back and yell and scream and criticize and engage and all of this. But if I'm not in a good spot to do that, and I know that because I know myself well enough, I'm an expert on myself, just like you're an expert on yourself, and everyone is an expert on themselves. I
Mhm.
know that when I do react right away, it almost always results in me being upset, causing a problem for myself at work, in my relationships, with people I encounter in the public. And I needed to learn how to, recognize, first of all, that I do that I do get knocked off course and triggered. And at that point, I'm more susceptible to getting caught in a situation that could potentially really blow up in my face. And I've experienced that way too many times, and it doesn't ever bode well for me. And I'm always beaten up after that, and it takes days to really recover. So for me to be able to recognize that in those situations when I'm challenged in some way or there's some sort of trigger, to stop myself and think, what would I do? What could I do now to have
Mhm.
the most beneficial results? And that usually means to close my mouth or turn off the computer or walk
Mhm.
away or quietly get up and excuse myself. And I've really learned how to apply this. And a good example is, for example, at work in the office. I work as a certified peer specialist as
Mhm.
part of an outreach team, and there have been moments when I've been upset by something, and I had to learn. Well, Craig, you need to preserve your job. You can't just get upset and make a scene and cause a problem. You need to preserve your job. So I'd say, you know what? Well, I'm upset about something. I'm going to quietly push my chair out, turn the computer off, turn the light off, stand up, put my jacket on, get my bag, quietly, gently walk to the office door, open the office door gently, leave, close the door gently, walk down the hall gently till I'm out of the building. And at that point, I've preserved my job. I've not gotten myself in trouble, and I can get on with, excuse me, I can then get on with my day with much less disruption
Mhm.
than if I got into it with somebody in my office and had a big thing happen that never going to result in something good for me, and I know that. So I learned how to, as I just explained, how to avoid that and then get on with my day, because really all of us experience this stuff every day, and we can either be taken by it or we can get on with our day by processing it and getting through with it. And it's a daily process for so many of us, and really that's what Better Days is all about, is coming up with ideas of how to make things work for us so we can have a better result and have more peace, calm, and less disruption to our lives, which for me is what keeps me going every day, which keeps me healthy. It's
Mhm.
something I must do.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So what are some options for people to be able to use Better Days on a personal level, professional level, and also in a group like setting?
Well, on a personal level, individual could get a copy of the book, and a person who gets a copy of the book is more than welcome to make copies of the pages to work on for themselves. They can go through the book. There's a table of contents. They can choose the topic that might they might be interested at that moment in exploring in themselves in an introspective way, using the worksheets and the passage as a guide. And they could sit down with themselves and they can write it out and answer the questions and think about it and process it. And that could be, I think a lot of people do that, and a person could benefit from that just by taking the time to think about, how do you want your life to be? How do you want things to go? What do you envision a better result being? And coming up with that on their own steam at their convenience when the time is right for them. A person also often, I'm told, will just read the passages to feel hopeful, to feel that they're not alone or that someone else gets it. I've actually been told that quite a few times by people, so that's really cool.
Mhm.
As far as a peer specialist working with a person with lived experience, person in recovery, it's certainly a guide that is deeply introspective, and a peer supporter could help somebody, maybe with suggestions or providing a safe environment for somebody to really kind of dig deep inside and figure out what it is that causes them difficulty and
Mhm.
how they would like things to go in the future, and come up with some ideas of how to achieve that. I think people in that situation often feel empowered, and I want people to feel empowered. I want people to feel like that they're the expert on themselves and that they can absolutely be in charge of how things go. They
Mhm.
can't control all the details of the situation. However, they can certainly make a choice of how to deal with things. Um, as I said, the curriculum was first used in a support group form, so the worksheets can be used in a group facilitator a person with lived experience could photocopy the pages and pass them around the group. I'm currently working on a facilitator's guide, and hopefully I'll have that up within the next 6 to 8 months, and that'll really, I think, empower group leaders to really have the group be most effective. But also, what I really want to happen is I want people who attend the group to also be able to become a facilitator, and I want the guide to train them. Because really, in better days, there's no right or wrong answer. Whatever you feel, whatever you think, whatever your reaction is correct. However you feel you want to handle it, or how it makes you feel, or what for whatever reason why you want to get better, it's the right. There's no wrong answer. It's always correct. So it's empowering to really hope for anybody to just dive in and benefit from it. I've also heard of social workers using it with the people that they provide services for,
Mm-hmm.
caseworkers, team leaders. I even know of a psychiatrist that we used to work with at my job who's recommended to people he provided services for. So it's I think it's something that really anyone could benefit from. And it's not just for people with mental health struggles, addiction, or trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Although I think most people have some sort of trauma of some sort. But if somebody's stressed out at work, or gets frustrated with people, or gets angry and lashes out and has to deal with the damage to their life as a result of doing so, that's all stuff that people, I think really want to work on handling, because the result of that is damage to their life or their relationships. But we often don't really talk about that stuff. We just kind of, either, write someone off or just ignore them or put them out of our lives. The reality is that we all have it within ourselves to address these issues we face and empower ourselves to deal with them in a way that will benefit us, benefit our life, preserve what's important to us, and get on with our day with the least amount of disruption possible. And that's really what I want to do every day in my life, and I want to help other people do the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. With so many programs, kind of similar like RAP, intentional peer support, ECPR. How do you get someone interested in Better Days, so that they won't see this as another chore, another demand from a social worker or a therapist? How can you get people to see that this is something that might be very helpful for their lives?
Well, first I want to say that all of the books and programs and trainings that you've just mentioned are all extremely valuable and worthwhile and help all sorts of people. So I think without RAP and intentional peer support and ECPR, I wouldn't really be in a spot today to really do what I'm doing. So I want to just acknowledge that they really paved the way. And Better Days is hopefully complements those other ways of learning how to cope with the difficulties we face and live a happier, healthier life. Better Days also is a very user friendly, and it's very self-directed. So a person does not have to be in treatment or on medication or willing to go to a group or deal with anybody as far as a provider. They're fully capable of, on their own steam, if it's something that they desire, they want self-improvement, they want it, they recognize that there's something about their life that results in them being unhappy or miserable or whatever the describing word is for the feelings that people have when things don't go well in their lives, that this is self-directed. This is all about the individual being the expert on them. And I want people to feel empowered. I want people to feel like, you know what, I'm the one who knows best.
Mm-hmm.
And we can have the social workers and the psychiatrists and family and everybody say, you need to do this, you need to do that, this is your problem, you need to work on this. But really, who knows better? The individual knows better. They might make choices that result in them experiencing difficulty, dealing with the law or the mental health system or whoever. But ultimately, we really are the experts on ourselves. And I want to honor people and say, you know best. You may have a hard time seeing the big picture sometimes, or you may struggle with picking up on cues, or you might be angry, which, I mean, I really deal with anger, and I have to be very mindful of it. But, I don't always want to work with somebody. I don't always want to listen to what someone has to say about me, because really, I know best. And I find myself, when I meet with a psychiatrist or a therapist on my own, that I'm often doing most of the talking, saying, No, you listen to me. I know what's best for me. I'm talking about what I need. I've already figured this out. I just need to be not even
Uh-huh.
validated, but just I know what I need. I'm the expert on me,
Yeah.
and they can have all the training in the world and all the degrees in the world, and still I'm still the expert on me. And each person knows best what's right for them. So I want people to know that you're in charge. You're the boss. You know what's right for you. Work on what you want to work on when you want to work on it for whatever reason you want to. And if you invest yourself and apply yourself, you'll have results. I mean, we know, like in the recovery process in general, if you work at it, you put in the time and you try, you will experience results. And that's something I tell people all the time because it's true. You work at it, you apply yourself, you invest yourself, you seek out resources, you seek out assistance from people you trust, you actively take steps, proactive steps to get a handle on things. You will see results. It's not like if or maybe. It's like you will. And Better Days is a complement to that philosophy that if you work at it, here's the tool you can use. You're the boss. You're in charge. You're the expert on you. Go with it. Live long. Live long and prosper, as they say. I mean, um, develop the life you want to live based on what's right for you. And no one else
Mhm.
knows better than you. They can give you a diagnosis or say this is your problem or you have an anger problem. But really, you're the one who knows best, and you figure it out for yourself. When you do that, you'll have success. And it's of course each person's success is to themselves. So what I might consider my success in learning how to cope or deal with the struggles I face with might be at a different place than someone else who has different set of struggles and might find themselves also having success, but at a different degree. And we honor that as well. That's also fantastic and to be respected and to be honored. So um, I'm the expert on me, and you're the expert on you, and we're all the expert. Each person is the expert on each other, and I want that to be just the
Mhm.
most powerful thing. And I
Yeah.
think when we're empowered to know that we know ourselves best and we can take steps on our own, on our steam, at our time frame, then we can really take charge of who we are and how we live our lives, and hopefully really experience the kind of success that I hope we all will have.
Yeah. Thank you, Craig. So we do have two questions, and you just answered one from Angela Sadgrove, and she also has
Hi,
another
Angela.
question. I don't know if she can hear you or really see you, but she's able to send in questions. Her second question was, are we focusing these cognitive improvements towards recovery?
Absolutely. I'm so glad you took the words out of my mouth because this is all about cognitive adjustments. We can train ourselves. Well, first, we identify what it is that we struggle with. We identify the triggers, what sets us off, and we make we identify what those things are, and we identify. We don't like how the results of when we get ourselves in trouble or when we are set off by something, and then if there's a problem, you get into an argument, get into a fight, whatever happens, we know that we do certain things that results in that.
Mhm.
And if we can say, well, I really don't want that to keep happening, and I want to figure out are there other things that I can do to have a better result in the kind of situations that used to or generally for them result in a crisis or a problem? When that person's committed and interested and invested in finding a better way,
Mhm.
then when they come up with some ideas using the book, or I mean, really, it's just really like a recovery skill in general, but Better Days really covers this. Is what can you do to make it better? How would you like it to be? What result would you like, and how do you want to achieve that? And that's what Better Days is all about. I mean, I can look in the book and give some examples of exactly what I'm talking about. Um, let's choose a good one. Well, I hope that they're all good. I hope they are.
Yeah. And Craig, Angela wanted to know, um, particularly in reference to addictions, but I know that your work covers mental health and addictions. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Aiden. Um, well, I'm a person with lived experience with substances. I've not used drugs in a very long time or any substances. Um, And what I do know is that the same things that come up for people who have mental health struggles and get them in trouble are, I think, very often the same things that come up for somebody who struggles with substances and gets them in trouble. A feeling of not being respected, a feeling of being treated poorly, not being important, not being valued, talked down to. Um, um, so many things that we experience that make us feel bad about ourselves um, has the same impact, whether it's a mental health reaction or it's something that makes us want to drink or do drugs. And I think it's the same sort of coping skills that we have to um, uh, learn and then apply to our lives in order to get through, whether it's a struggle with addictions or trauma or mental health struggle or a combination of all three. So absolutely, addictions is something that can be covered in this book um, uh, because it's the same coping skills we have to learn how to apply to our lives. I'm going to give an example. Um, I'm going to give it a good example to hopefully be helpful. Um, here's an example. This passage is called "Passing Moments." Is it okay if I read the passage?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. We have time. We definitely have time.
Passing moments. And as I said, this is based on personal lived experience. So,
Yeah.
um, for a
And
few,
what page are you on, Craig?
28.
Okay. Okay.
For a few minutes earlier this week, I felt my life was over. I could feel both my body and my mind tensing up. I envisioned carnage and chaos, and it seemed so real. I proceeded to question my life and my place in this world. My frustration was increasing and growing. I was in incredible pain. I was feeling unreasonable, and I could sense that I was about to make some very bad decisions. Yet, this is my life, and I did not need to have things go down that road. Even during my worst and most desperate moments, I must try to make the best possible decision given the circumstances. So I stepped back, and I took more than a dozen deep breaths, and I told myself that I had way too much to live for. I could not in good conscience allow my lifelong struggle for wellness and recovery to end in vain. I chose recovery because recovery chose me. Recovery lives in every single one of us. Recovery is life, love, future, hope, desire, belief, chance, change, opportunity, and so much more. Recovery is worth living for. And if you can show down on the page, and there's a space for notes on that side, and then on the following page, page 29, there's the worksheet and 3 questions. Really, to really just get the person thinking about what kind of life do they want to live, and actually go back 1 page. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
page 29.
Okay, yeah.
So the question is, why do you choose recovery? And there's no real definition in this book of recovery. It's whatever a person feels it is, or believes it is, or wants it to be. Why do they want recovery? Why do they choose that? What is it about recovery that they want in their life? What changes do they want? What are they striving for? What are they hoping for? The second question, give an example of a time when you felt like giving up and what you did to get through it. I mean, we've all experienced this. Something happens. I mean, even last week I was really demolished by some things that happened, and I had a very, very serious trauma response, and I was very beaten up, and it took me several days to pull it together. It was very painful, very difficult. I was very much in extreme pain, and it was awful. So, I did feel horrible last week, and I'm not going to say that I felt like giving up as far as on life, but I certainly felt like everything was gloom and doom and was never going to get better. And what I had to do to get through it was really get a good night's sleep, take a shower, and get some support, and really step up to the plate and ask myself, what is it do I want? Do I want to feel better? Do I want to get through this? And what do I have to do to achieve that? So it's coming up with the example of a time when I felt like giving up and what I did to get through it. I think really informs a person on A, that they've gone through a really tough experience, and B, they survived it and they got through it to a better day.
Mm-hmm.
The last question, number 3, is list 3 things that you would like to improve about your life. Why not? We all want to improve some things about our life. We all want things to be better in one way or another. Why not just come up with some ideas And yeah, we have them on the page. We have them on paper. Talk about them with a peer, a friend, a recovery worker, a provider, a family member, whoever a person feels safe talking with. And yeah, I think the discussion about things you want to improve about your life in the context of uh, that we want to live a happier, healthier life, and that discussion I think can really bring up a lot of or deeply introspective ideas about what's right for me. How do I want to live? What is it I want my life to be like? With that person being the expert, they know best. They know best. I know best about me, and I don't want anyone telling me what's best for me when I know myself better. And that's the beauty of Better Days is that you're the expert, you're the boss. You do what's right for you, and it's going to be the right thing.
Definitely, definitely. Uh, for me personally, Craig, I know when I started using rap, it changed my life. It
Mm.
saved my life. And I was able to, reduce medications and eventually actually get off of medication. So Angela would like to know, has Better Days helped put you in that position?
As
Um,
far as medications,
Yes, as far as possibly, not being on medication anymore or, lowering your prescriptions if that's not too personal of a question.
no, that's fine. And just to give a little history, I think it's important. When I was 14, I was put in a psychiatric hospital, and I spent months there, and then I was put into a group home for what they called emotionally disturbed adolescents. Throughout my teenage years and mental hospitals, um, and I was put on medications for conditions I never had. I was put on heavy psychotropic medications for conditions I never had. And I spent from age 18 to my mid 30s, um, my late 30s, on these medications. I now know that it was the medications that made me sick. I now know that I didn't have the conditions that the medications were prescribed for. I now know that my parents and some of the providers were really intent on making me sick or having me be an identifiable sick child, which really wasn't the case. Really, I was not the sick person. I was victimized by years of being institutionalized and years of living in an indigent life, crippled by medications that caused me countless horrible things happening to me. I didn't go to college. I couldn't have relationships. I lived in squalor with people who did drugs and were violent. And I lived in apartment after apartment with people who were just dysfunctional and not well. Many things happened again and again that were dreadful, dealing with the police and the courts, and me just becoming absolutely uh, dysfunctional to the degree of I was so sick by the medications, and then the trauma that I experienced, the trauma history that I developed as a result of being on medications for almost 25 years, that I was really forced to believe that I needed, um, and I didn't. So thankfully, I had a wonderful psychiatrist a few years ago who recognized that I didn't have the conditions that I was taking medications for, and he suggested that I go off those medications, and I did. Um, I do take medication now. I've tapered down immensely since 2 years ago. Um, and it's to help me manage the trauma that I experience, which is extreme, if you can imagine, based on the years of institutionalization and living a sick life caused by the medication. So my only real problem, my only real, you know, issue is trauma, which was a result of everything that I just expressed and explained. So my current doctor is wonderful. She's probably 30 years old. She's a resident at where I go to get services, and she's very much supporting me in tapering off. And I'm interested in that. Um, and that would be great if I do. And at the same time, I can't be sure 100% if I'm being benefited or not. I have a lot of questions as to if am I being benefited by the medication or not, because I'm doing pretty well. Um, and we are experimenting with lowering the dose. I'm on a very, very low dose compared to where I was a few years ago, and I'm fine. So I'm interested in going through that process. And I want to say also that maybe some people do benefit, and we know the system and the pharmaceutical companies and all of these people and this money is, they have some different motives than just helping people. And some people may benefit from their medication, and I don't want to, tell someone that they shouldn't do what they feel they need to do to take care of themselves. I think it's really important that whatever I choose to do, or whatever I do, or whatever you choose to do, we really need to honor our peers, our loved ones, our friends, our community. And if a person is struggling, I think it's important to not say you shouldn't do this, or drugs are bad, or that's wrong, you need to do this. I don't think we should be telling anybody anything like that. I think the best thing we can do is be the best support helper possible and help our peers, help our loved ones, help our friends, our community members um, find the best information possible about what all the possibilities are for them to take care of themselves. And when they are best informed about what's available to them, to support them in taking the steps that they feel comfortable with. And that's really, for me, what I want to support. I mean, I try to stay away from the topic of medication because, we know it's a very charged topic, and of course, my entire life was damaged and really stolen from me by taking medications for conditions I never had. So clearly, I have a personal, understanding of how damaging they've been for me. But what it really comes down to is I want to honor people by helping them get the best information possible so they can make the best decision for themselves and support them in going through that process. And I think that really will result in people being as happy and healthy as possible. Better Days Workbook or no Better Days Workbook, we have to honor our peers and our loved ones and our community and support them in doing the best things that are for them, that they feel comfortable with, that they believe is the best thing for them, and let that play out and then reevaluate later on if necessary.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Craig. You put that perfectly as far as medication is concerned. We definitely don't want anyone stopping medication, without talking to their doctors first. It's an individualized choice on how people handle that situation. So, Craig, tell us a little bit more about yourself personally and some of the groups that you're involved in, like the punk scene and all the things you do up in Massachusetts.
Thank you. That's a very fun question.
Yeah.
Uh, I get a lot of stuff going on. The Better Days Workbook is it's being received and appreciated in ways that I never could have envisioned in a million years. Currently, it's being translated to German, Portuguese, Spanish, and French, which is super exciting. I have lots of plans and lots of ideas of what I want to do, and I have a list of about 30 things that I want to work on, different projects.
Mm-hmm.
And I do travel around the country. I have a workshop, as you brought up the punk scene. For the almost entirety of my life in the mental health system, I've been in the punk scene, punk rocker since the late 80s. Really being a punk rocker is one of the only things that kept me alive during the many years of being forced to be sick for the medications and the institutionalization and the trauma that the ongoing traumas that I experienced. I've been in all sorts of bands, traveled all over the country on tours. I'm actually singing for a new band right now, when the band name is called Rapid Cycle, which is I think a really cool name for us.
Yeah.
And we're hopefully going to record in the next few months and start playing shows. It's all guys who are around my age in their 40s, so we're all we have life experience. Two of the other people in the band are in recovery, and I am as well. And the guitar player is a very dear old friend of mine, and he's also I'd say he's in recovery from certain parts of life too. We're all in recovery from something. I know that. I mean, all of us in the whole world for something.
Yeah.
So I have that band, and I also travel around the country in Canada and hopefully Europe very soon, giving a talk called Punk Rock Mental Illness and Recovery. which is really my story from where I come from and to where I've gotten to today and where I'm going. A couple things about that is in the punk scene, it is very frowned upon to get help for your mental health issues. Substance use is rampant. Substance use is often the encouraged and nurtured way of dealing with our problems. I've experienced a lot of reckless people being reckless. I've lost a lot of friends to suicide, more than I can count, to drug overdose, to reckless deaths, to unfortunate, unnecessary situations. And I see people every day that I'm in contact with who are struggling and have not gotten the right help. And it must be recognized that a lot of these people have had encounters with the mental health system, have been treated really badly based on how they look or how they dress, which is really not even should not even be a topic of discussion when you're meeting with a provider to get help with whatever mental health struggles you have. But unfortunately, time and time again, that's the topic that gets discussed instead of the person's actual needs. So many people in the punk scene have really been forced away from the system, and I get that, and I don't have a problem with it. I mean, and I understand that there's a lot of people who pursue their own route of getting well, and some people are more on the radical side of things, and I certainly respect that and support that. I'm not going to tell someone to take meds or not to take meds. I'm not going to tell someone to go to therapy or not go to therapy. I want to tell them, do what's right for you. What works for you? I want to respect people and doing what's right for them. So I traveled around the country and been to Canada twice as well, and I tell my story because I want people to feel empowered. I want them to feel hopeful. I want them to feel that if I could do what I've done, that they can as well. And one statement about the title of the talk, Punk Rock Mental Illness and Recovery, a lot of people tell me they don't like that I use the word mental illness, that it's a label that we shouldn't be using, and that's fine. I respect people's opinion. The reason why I call it Punk Rock Mental Illness and Recovery, well, coming from the punk scene, recovery is this ongoing thing that I'm experiencing. And I say the word mental illness because that's what I was told I was. I was told I was mentally ill. My family, everybody told anybody who would listen again and again that I was mentally ill. You know what? I don't even know what mental illness is, because if I was mentally ill and now I'm fine, well, I can't make sense of it. So I can't to make sense of my life in general. It's very hard. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that as well. But I use the words punk rock mental illness recovery because I'm talking about recovery. I'm talking about mental health in the recovery context, that we get better, that I got better, that this is my story, this is what happened, this is what I've done, this is I never stopped trying, I never stopped fighting, I worked my butt off to get here, and you can too. A lot of people are given a lot of labels about who they are and what they are and what's wrong with them, and nothing's wrong with anybody. The world is troubled. People are troubled. We're watching violence and destruction and carnage on a daily basis everywhere we look, in our cities, on TV, around the world, and the value of life has been really diminished and decreased. And I think that's sick. That we live in a world where we put one person's value over another. I mean, we're all human beings. We're all in this together. Punk rockers or whoever you are, whatever you're into, whatever works for you. I mean, some people are spiritual, some people are religious. Whatever helps you get you through the day is really what I want people to do for themselves, if that's what they choose to do. I have another book. I don't think you have one, but I'm going to put it out. It's called "You're Crazy."
Okay.
It's a anthology of 27 first-hand accounts of people from the punk scene from the U.S. and Western Europe, telling their first-hand accounts of dealing with mental health struggles, addiction, and/or trauma. This is the first volume. I'm working on volume 2 right now, and there's two people in this book. One person from the UK who works as a psychiatric nurse on a unit. But she's also a punk rocker, so she talks about her experience of, from a punk rock perspective, providing services in a psychiatric situation in the UK, where she sees things she doesn't like, and she tries to treat people better and kind of help people get their needs, because she understands a lot of things about one interesting thing about punk rock people from the punk scene that they do know a lot about injustice and disparity. A lot of people come from um, abusive living situations, parents with mental health struggles, poverty, addiction, trauma, all sorts of stuff. So yes, and there's another person in the book who also is from the punk scene in the United States, and he wrote a story about how his stepdad was a social worker working in a hospital, and this guy who wrote the story was a punk rocker and in the 80s, and he'd find kids traveling around and bring them home for dinner and give them a place to stay, and which is a really punk rock thing that we always really more so in the 90s and 80s we did, but it still goes on now where people are accepted in and you give people help if you can. And this guy would bring home these people and for dinner and for a nice place to stay and a meal who were on the street, these punk rockers. And the stepdad would get home, and the guy he brought home says hi, and they knew each other because the kid that the guy who wrote the story brought home from off the street had escaped from the mental health institution that his stepdad worked at. So it created this funny thing where funny situation where the dad or the stepdad and the kid knew each other, and it was awkward to say the least. But that story is in here, and 25 other stories as well, most of which are about people's lived experience with mental health or mental health struggles, addiction, and trauma. Um, and I'm living my life. So I mean, I have a million things I'm working on. I have a million goals I'm trying to achieve. I work as a peer specialist in Boston. I live in Salem, Massachusetts. My partner and I just moved here 3 months ago. We love it here. I adopted a cat last year. Tomorrow is his 1 year anniversary of living with me, coming home with me. His name is Max. He had the trauma history, and in the past year, his entire life has become a million times better. I give him unconditional love and support and everything he could ever need: healthcare, food, water, everything a little guy like that needs to be happy and healthy. He's become like really my best friend. And I would have to say, I don't know his history, but he has a trauma history, no doubt. And he's taught me so much about how to be unconditionally accepting, to be patient, to be supportive, to not take things personally, to just give love and nurture and allow him to go through the process of getting stronger and building trust and allowing the living space we have to be safe for him. He's absolutely doing that, and it's beautiful. Tomorrow is our 1 year anniversary. I'm so excited. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never had a pet. I had a pet like that. So
Uh-huh.
at age 40, I adopted a cat.
Yeah, yeah. I think pets are so therapeutic. I have a turtle, and she means the world to me. When I wake up in the morning, I'm so happy to know that, I have something to take care of and something that appreciates me taking care of them.
Mm.
So yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, I don't know where he is right now. Usually
Yeah.
he's in here, but I don't know where he went. He's around here somewhere. But
Uh-huh.
we could get him on the camera, but we can't right now.
Okay, okay.
He's a good little guy. I'm so happy to have him.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions? If you do, you can write a question to your right-hand side in the Q&A section. So far, Angela has been wonderful in asking questions, but we would love to hear from the other viewers out there. If you have any questions, Craig is definitely willing to answer them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you.
Yeah. So, Craig, is there anything else you want to tell us about Better Days? I've went through the manual myself since you sent it to me, and I think that it is, an amazing piece of work, and I know that I'll be able to use it, in a community that I belong to, which is the District of Columbia. It's an urban environment, but I see this book being able to cross that cultural divide and be useful to those settings in urban as well as rural and suburban areas as well. So you really did an amazing job creating Better Days.
Thank you so much. Max just came in the room. There he is.
Wow.
Um, I love Bitter Days. never in a million years did anybody ever think or consider for a second that I would be anything more than, I don't even want to say it, just a waste of the I lived my life just feeling like and believing that I was worthless and uh, useless, and that my happiness and my needs were really irrelevant to the majority of people in the world. Um, Life's been very, very painful. I've Many times I thought I wasn't going to make it, and really thanks to people in recovery and people who a therapist that I had and a vocational counselor who just engaged with me and validated me and legitimized my experience. I was able to take tiny baby step by tiny baby step to get to where I am today. I I relate with people who have been through some of the worst stuff possible. I'm not put off by, I'm not shocked by the things that a lot of people that I come in contact in the world in the punk scene, and people that I communicate when I travel and speak and at work. I really feel like when I connect with somebody on some of this stuff that, as I said, I'm not shocked by it. I get it. And at my job, I work with people who really have had a terrible time and have not had a good experience with the system, who've not been, really taught coping skills and given the opportunity to get a handle on things, and they just go in and out of the system and courts and poverty, and I can't stand it. But I also identify with that. I identify it with it so personally, so close to. I mean, everything that I am is this person who somehow pulled himself up out of this. And when I began my recovery process, I mean, the very day that I heard that you get better, people can get better, I've embraced that. And there's been endless obstacles, many of which were intentionally put in my way, which was horrible. Um, yeah, I've continued to just try my very best to get through it, to fight, to invest myself, to also to be a better person, to be more accountable, to take responsibility, to treat people the way I want to be treated. I've said and done things over the years that have not been nice. I I want to always make myself available to for people to be able to say to me, Craig, you did this, you said this, and for me to be able to say, I'm so sorry, I wasn't well. This is what happened to me, and this is what I'm doing to make sure I don't make those mistakes again. I feel like being accountable for myself, whether or not I have a mental health issue, whether or not I have trauma, whether or not I was on medication for all these years that really just caused me to be sick, I still have to do the right thing and be the person that I want. I need to be in the world, which is the person who's going to help my peers, help my people, my community. When I say my people, I say my community. Anybody who knows what it's like to struggle. We don't have to compare or say one person has it worse than another. We all know struggle. Struggle hurts. Pain hurts. We know the torture of it, and I want to do my part to make the world a better place. I want better days. I explained earlier how it came about. It was never in a million years did I think something like that I would do would ever put me in a position to really rise up out of this really horrendous life that I've lived in. What I now know, and what Better Days teaches me every day, every time I talk about it and think about it, is that I now know that I don't regret any of my experiences. I've only shared briefly with you, Aiden, and with the people watching my experience, but as with all of us, we've experienced a lot of tough stuff, and I don't regret any of it. And I've actually learned to embrace every experience I've had as being necessary to be where I'm at today. Where Better Days is today is the result of years of endless, painful suffering. Where would I be without it? Who knows? But I'm probably a lot happier today, even with all the struggle and suffering I've been through, than I would be if I didn't have to deal with any of this. Because I have an understanding of what feels right, what is happy, what is just, what is beautiful. That just like many of yourself, I hope, and many people watching, is that we learn the hard way what's important in this world. And I want, Better Days came about as a fluke. I didn't know what I was doing. I gave this group once a week to help the few people who came. And I didn't realize till years later that it was this thing that people would benefit from. And now that it's in this book form and people are benefiting, it's changing my life forever. I'm so grateful to Better Days. It is, my hope, I can't even tell you, I hardly have an education, you know, life's tough, yet it's beautiful, and every day is a better day for me. Every
Yeah.
day I'm grateful and thankful that I've been through what I've been through because it made me me. At the end of the day, I like me. At the end of the day, I do more good than bad. At the end of the day, I'm aware that I'm trying my very best to help my community, help my people, all of my people, wherever they are, live a better life. I'm committed to it. I'm dedicated to it. I want it. I'll fight for it, and I won't stop. And I'm not going to stop. The only way to stop me is for me to not be alive. And I've been through enough in my 41 years, first 41 years, to know what it feels like to be beaten down and powerless and not in control of my life and not contributing to the world what I so desperately want the world to be like for me and others. And now from the next, I hope I live to at least 80 because I have a lot of good stuff going on, and it's worth it. It's worth it to me to do my very best to provide that life for myself and the ones in my life that I love with all my heart. And for every person out there who's not had a opportunity to deal with the things that get them in trouble, to deal with the things that bring them down, that make them unhappy, I believe in recovery. I believe that we get better. Every step we take toward it is a step toward being happier, healthier, more satisfied. I'm committed to it. I'm dedicated to it. I'm grateful for this opportunity to speak with you. I am honored. I am blown away just by the response that you just shared about your experience with the book. I'm having a lot of fun. Life's pretty good, all things considered. Even as I struggled immensely last week to the point of just absolute horror, I got through it. I'm back on track. I'm
Mhm.
grateful to have met you for this opportunity, and I
Yeah.
hope everyone out there will have a better day. I hope everyone out there will find it within themselves whether they have the book or they don't, or to just consider really three questions. And those three questions are: do you want to feel better? Are there things you can do to feel better?
Mhm.
What are those things? And when you identify when it's yes, yes, and a short list of what those things are, get working, put it in action. I'm telling you, it might not make everything better, but you're going to feel a little bit of relief, and that little bit of relief can be the beginning of the rest of your life.
Yeah. Thank you, Craig. That was amazing. We do have a question from Shannon, and first, also Shannon would like to tell Max congratulations on his 1 year anniversary.
He's very happy. He's right here.
Uh-huh.
Max says meow.
Okay. And so Shannon wanted to hear from you some suggestions on how to become involved in peer support and also becoming a facilitator or anything that you might have similar to that.
That's a wonderful question, Shannon. Thank you so much for asking, and thanks for sending Max some love. He sends it right back. I'm sure of it. Um, well, I'm not sure where you're located, but all over the country there are uh, peer uh, peer groups and peer recovery centers where you should be able to find out information about what trainings are going on as far as whether it's the certified peer specialist or peer facilitator or to become a RAP trainer. I know that if you're not familiar, Wellness Recovery Action Plan, I know there are trainings where people can learn how to use that guidebook and learn how to become certified trainers. I know there's something in Vermont, intentional peer support. I've not done it myself yet. I know that they do have trainings that people can take to. I'm not sure if it's a certification yet, to be able to do the kind of work that I'm doing, to have the skills and the information and knowledge necessary to do that. Also, I know of another something online that I'm not sure everyone knows about, called Professionals, which is an online peer certification course. You can look them up. Really, what I would suggest is that go on Google, look for peer recovery in your city, in your area. Change up the Google search terms to certified peer specialist, peer wellness, peer facilitation, peer recovery center, wellness center, something like that, and you're going to come up with some sort of links that you can go to find out more. I know that it's not in every state in this country has a CPS training. I'm not sure every state does, but I know it's happening more and more. So absolutely look them up. And what I do know also is that mental health agencies that are funded by the state or taxes, I believe, are mandated to have peer counselors, peer specialists. So one thing you can do is, even if you're having trouble getting into a peer specialist training, or can't find one in your community, you can still look on job listings and go try to find out at agencies and peer recovery centers if they have those jobs available. And often what happens is that they'll hire somebody who's interested, and they do they check your resume and your references and all that, and they often hire people who don't have the certification, with the understanding that you will have to get it within like 6 to 12 months. And often people who go that route and get hired without the certification and then are required to get it, often are able to get into a training more easily, so they can actually become certified. So I hope that answers your question. And if you have any other questions, you can look me up online and write to me, and I'll do the best I can to support you in that process.
Yeah.
Thank you for that question.
And Shannon, if you want to, you can go to our website, www.thecampbellcenter.org, and go to our resource page, and you'll find a lot of links to a lot of the programs that Craig just mentioned. And you can find out how to become a facilitator, and how to get training around those things. But there are about, I think, maybe 10 to 12 states that offer certified peer specialist training. So depending on what state you live in, you can probably get that training. But the
DBSA.
Yeah, DBSA, they have a national CPS training. So you can get that training from them. And if your state doesn't offer a CPS, that training should transfer over to your state if you can get the DBSA training.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. And like Craig said, just Google peer support, wellness and resource centers, drop-in centers, and a wealth of information should come up for you.
Yes, and thank you so much, Iden. And in addition to that, Shannon, I'm hoping that once we get the Better Days Facilitators Guide complete, that we'll be able to give trainings for people to give the Better Days group throughout the country, hopefully the world. And I hope to be able to give trainings and certify people as certified Better Days facilitators. And I hope that we're able to make that happen, which I'm going to do my very best to achieve that. That hopefully you'll be able to join with us on that as well.
Yeah. So Craig, before we wrap up, let's talk about the future for Better Days. How can people get involved with it now if they want to start using it personally, or where they work at, to offer support groups? And in the future, definitely, how can we become facilitators?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that question. People can get the workbook at www.betterdaysrecovery.com. You can go to that website. You can download some sample pages, and then it takes you to an ordering page where you can order the book. So you can get the book. It's sent to you. You can use it to your heart's content, and I hope you will. For people who work, do support groups and at mental health agencies, absolutely, you order the book. Or you get the book, you obtain it in some way, and you can use it for those support groups. It's okay to make the photocopies if you need to. But also, for mental health groups and recovery centers and similar places. If a place, because I think it's great to have your own copy. I mean, it's okay in a support group setting to provide copies for people because it's the right thing to do. I mean, I think you need to make it available and accessible to people. But really, if there's agencies or recovery centers who want to get copies, definitely they can contact me, and write to me, and I'll be able to provide them with a much reduced rate so they can buy copies in bulk, and then hopefully provide them for their people, both their peer specialist or anyone who works with them, whatever capacity, and also for the people who are engaging in the support groups. So I hope that people will contact me about that, and they can certainly get that much reduced rate. And as far as training, I'm working on the facilitator's guide. There's been some bumps in the road, but I'm trying to get back into the swing of things, and hopefully at some point we'll have it ready. I mean, I wanted it ready by the end of this year, but it might not be the case. But I am committed to it. I want to get Better Days researched to be an evidence-based practice. I'm in touch with some people. I'm hoping to hear back from them soon. I know it costs a lot of money that I don't have, but I'm going to pursue getting grants and asking people for support and how to raise money to have it evaluated as an evidence-based practice. Hopefully, once that happens, and hopefully it'll be deemed an evidence-based practice, which I believe it will be. Then that it'll be much more accessible and available throughout the country and hopefully beyond. The book's being translated, as I said, into German, French, Spanish, and Portuguese. I'm very interested in any possible language it could be translated into. If people speak a language that's not one of the four I just mentioned, please write to me. I want to work with you. We'll figure something out financially, or we'll just figure something out to make it work. Currently, the German translation is almost halfway done. I'm working with some wonderful people who work in peer recovery in Germany, and we're talking about having me come over next year and do workshops and speaking tours, which is going to be great. I'll really go anywhere to do that possible. I want to come to your city. If you want me to come to your city, please contact me. I will come there. We'll work something out. We'll figure it out. Pretty easy to work with, hopefully. Also, I'm traveling around. I have a Better Days a workshop. So it's called Better Days, a mental health recovery workbook. A self-directed tool that honors the expert in you. So I'm going to be presenting at Purecopolis in Oregon in October, at MASPRA in Boston, and I'm waiting to hear back from Alternatives in Florida to see if they're going to approve my workshop. And I'm going to be submitting proposals as much as possible. So hopefully I'll be able to continue to give this workshop and meet people and spread the good word about Better Days. And hopefully, as we all get better, as we all learn coping skills and improve our how we live and how we deal with things, we can really have an impact on the whole entire world. I think we have a lot of potential. I think we have a lot of promise. I think we have a lot to offer. And I'm hoping that Better Days and conversations like we're having right now, being open and honest and talking about recovery, talking about wellness and things we can do to get better, whether you have money or not. I mean, if you have access to finances, then you can get certain things, and if you don't, you can still look online. And I'm sure that I know there are pages online that people can download and print out and from different kind of curriculums that they can work on. People can go online and go on YouTube and watch guided meditation videos. People can go online on YouTube and watch exercise aerobics, and you do some aerobics in your room, and you're going to feel better after 20 minutes of doing it. There's a lot of things we can do. Whether you buy a book, or you go to a support group, or you have a therapist that's helpful to you, or a peer supporter, or whatever it is. There's things we can do to help ourselves. If you want it, and you think it can be done, start making that list or making that plan. And when you apply it, you're going to have results. I believe in that. Recovery is real. We get better. We get better.
Definitely. It definitely is real. We're living proof of it.
Living proof.
Yes, so it definitely is real. We have some new people viewing. If you guys have any questions, feel free to answer. We have Craig for a few more minutes, so we want to get all those questions you have in so that he can answer them while we have his captive attention. So if you have any questions, you can go to the right side of your screen and type them in, and we can see them. Okay. And yeah, Craig, can you let people know exactly how to contact you, your email account, and also talk about your website a little bit?
Yes, my email address is betterdaysrecovery@gmail.com. So betterdaysrecovery@gmail.com. Website, as I said, is www.betterdaysrecovery.com. The website was designed by a wonderful person here in Boston that I've known for years, who is a wonderful web designer. Her name is Jen, and she did a great job. I trust her completely. She did the covers of both books. She's done both of the websites I have. If anybody needs help with artwork or websites, please write to me so I can put you in touch with her. She's awesome, amazing, and would love to hear from you. I'd love to put you in touch with her. The Better Days Recovery website, betterdaysrecovery.com, is really using the cover of the book and the colors, and it's really just a place for people to learn about what we're doing and how to find you can download sample pages there, which might be really helpful for people. I know a lot of people download the pages, and I actually know of some people who downloaded pages and took them to support groups, and people benefited. So that really kind of makes people interested, which is great. The other website I have is www.punksinrecovery.com. That's PUNKS in recovery.com. And that's really more about the traveling I'm doing, speaking to people in the punk rock community about the You're Crazy book series. Oh, I wanted to say about You're Crazy. The reason why we use that name that's the name of the book, You're Crazy, because I was told so many times in so many mean and nasty and invalidating ways that I was crazy. I don't think that word even that doesn't exist for me. And so I'm saying, you know what? You can call me that, but everything in my life proves otherwise. And I'm taking back the power, the intensity of what those words have been used to so long damage my life, and I'm not going to let that happen any longer. So You're Crazy. It's empowering for me, hopefully for everyone. Interesting thing about the book, though, is some people say in their stories, like, damn right, I'm crazy. I was like, do your thing. Go rock and roll, whatever works for you. Do what's right for you.
Yeah. We have a message from Leah, Craig. She says she missed you, but she's so appreciative of all the great things you're doing.
Thank you, Leah. It's wonderful to know you. I'm grateful to have been developing a connection with you. Thank you for all the work you're doing, really making a difference in the world, and we don't always get acknowledged for that, really, down at the core. And thank you for what you're doing. It's amazing, and you're making the world a better place. Iden, is this recorded?
Yeah.
We'll watch it later.
Yeah, we'll be able to watch it later. So this is the first time. So, but it says it's broadcasting. It says it's live. So once we wrap up, I'll click stop broadcasting, and I'll immediately go to the Google Plus and our YouTube page to see if it's up there. But I'm thinking we did this right. So Angela says she loves punk rock recovery. It's amazing. Nice. Right? Yeah. And Leah says she loves reclaiming the word crazy. Yep. And I think that we've reclaimed a lot of words in this society that have harmed people. Words like queer. Yep. So yeah, definitely take those words and empower yourself with them, and don't let words be something that can harm you. Yeah, definitely grab them.
I want everyone to be free and liberated, to live the life you want to live the life you need to live, be who you are, be the person you are inside. I want people to honor each other. I want to be able to respect people and support them. I think everyone should be free to be who they are. I want to have that be a part of just how I live my life every day. I am who I am. I am grateful for who I am. I wouldn't want to be anyone else, and I want to honor myself by being who I am and being true to myself. And on the same hand, I want to honor everyone else out there in the whole world. Be yourself. Be who you are. You're worth it. We're worth it. Everyone's unique. Everyone's an individual. We all have something to offer. We all have thoughts and feelings and ideas and beliefs, and we can all, by respecting each other and by honoring each other and accepting that everyone's different and everyone's got stuff that makes them unique, and honoring that. And if we can't get down with whatever it is, at least give people the freedom to be who they are and breathe and have the wiggle room to just say, do your thing, I'm doing my thing. We will all be happier when we have less conflict, especially less unnecessary conflict, which happens a lot, and even in the peer recovery community. I want to put it out there that uh, I'll work with anybody. Give me a chance. I'm not perfect, but I am going to try. I do try my best. We all have something to offer. I have made mistakes in the past where I've very, very wrongly made judgments about what I think someone else's life was like, and they had it better than me, and that really has always come back to bite me in the butt. And I'm trying to not make those mistakes. We're all human beings, but I do know that I know everyone in recovery, anybody who's given a label of some sort of problem that they have or something that's wrong with them or whatever it is that they say, we've all been through something in our lives that has impacted how we respond, how we react, how we think in any possible situation. So I believe fully and wholeheartedly that if we're able to live a life of living and walking with empathy, where when we come across a person, whether it's in a work situation or at a peer recovery center or on the bus or anywhere, a family member, a loved one, someone we don't particularly care for, whomever, that we extend to ourselves first and foremost the love for ourselves by not engaging negatively with other people, especially when it's unnecessary. And the other thing, which is I think is one of the most empathetic and beautiful things we can do in this world, is not engaging with somebody who's not doing well or who's negative or who's angry, who's saying things that we wish they didn't say or causing problems that we really don't appreciate, to give them empathy, be empathetic toward them, and not get into the negativity. We honor ourselves by not bringing ourselves into it, and we honor those people by not perpetuating their suffering. I know at this point in my life that when I'm having an interaction with somebody and it's not going well, or somebody is acting in a way that I really don't appreciate, being mean, being rude, threatening violence, or whatever it is, I know that there's more to it than just what I know. I probably know 1% if I'm lucky, but what that person's going through, probably less than that. And I want to not perpetuate their suffering by getting into it. And I'm going to protect myself and honor myself by just making the choice to love myself and to get on with my day and honor those around me by not perpetuating the suffering of others. That's like a basic concept that I live my life by every day. We got to give everybody as much breathing room as possible. We got to give everybody wiggle room. We got to let people be who they are. We all have rough days. We all have struggles. We all get triggered, no matter who we are or where we come from or where we were born or language we speak or anything. We all experience stuff like that. We're all going to be a lot happier in this world when we learn how to manage our reactions, to honor ourselves, and to not perpetuate someone else's suffering. It's crucial. We do this, we're all going to be happier. And not only in the recovery community, in all communities.
Yeah, in the world in general. And for those of you who want to learn more about not re-traumatizing our peers when we're interacting with them, read up more on intentional peer support. Try to go to that training. Also, ECPR, emotional CPR. That's another good one. And just learn how to be more present and in tune and compassionate to people that you're supporting, people that are supporting you. Whenever we're in each other's space, in each other's environments and homes and wherever, because we are hurting each other. And the more we continue to hurt each other, the more we distrust and don't want to work closely with each other. So that's something that we're trying to do at the Campbell Center, is create spaces like that. Um, Even like this Google Hangout, we're hoping to be able to touch people in ways that we haven't normally been able to. And thank you to Craig for being our first guest on our first live Hangout. This is something that we're going to do on a regular basis. So if any of you have any ideas of people who we should reach out to and try to do Hangouts with, feel free to email me at idenmccollum@gmail.com. And like our Google Plus page, we'll keep you abreast of what new Hangouts we might have, and we might just get Leah Harris on one.
That'd be great, of course.
Yeah, we're going to twist her arm and get her on one. But yeah, just be mindful and present whenever you're with a peer. Because we don't know what each other is going through. We don't know the pain that we've been through, but we do know that all of us have suffered and been through some horrendous things through the system, and even sometimes family members. So. Yeah. Yeah, so
Yes.
Thank you, Craig, for sharing,
Yes, you.
your wonderful story with us. I really appreciate all that you've done with Better Days in your community, and I'm so thankful that you found your way back to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful experience to speak with you and meet you, and I'm so looking forward to. Hey, hey, I'm still looking forward to. I'm trying to get Max over here so you guys can all see him. I'm still looking forward to continuing to work with you and working together and collaborating with my colleagues and peers. And I also want to say that there's allies to us are also valuable, and we can work together to really make the world a better place. I also wanted to say that I try to extend that empathy to everybody, whether I know they're a person with lived experience or not. What I do know, well, it's funny that term, lived experience. We all have lived experience, so I want to extend that empathy and embrace all people. Like when I get on the bus and the driver is not happy and not making it easy to get on, I could get into it, or I can say, all right, they're probably having a tough day, something's happened, and I'm just gonna just get on with it.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
Is Max coming?
Yeah.
Oh, Max is hiding under the bed.
Okay. Well,
Okay,
hopefully,
next time.
hopefully one of these days we'll get to meet Max. And so before we sign off too, I want to let people know that Alternatives is coming up in October. So hopefully Craig and both of us will be presenting at Alternatives this year. And so what I plan to do is go around to some presentations that I attend and do Google Hangouts in those rooms. So for the ones of you that won't make it to Alternatives this year, definitely keep in contact with me, and you'll be able to follow me at Alternatives, and you'll be able to go to sessions with me on Google Hangout. So if you can't go to Alternatives this year, you'll be able to go through technology.
And I couldn't think of a better person to hang out with in person. So I'm hoping I'll be there so I can hang out with you.
All right, great. And Leah just said we don't have to twist her arm too hard. She'll do a
Good.
Google Hangout.
Good. That's wonderful. That's wonderful, Leah.
Okay. All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Yeah. So thank you everybody for joining us. Contact Craig so that you can learn more about Better Days. And we just all support each other. That's how we continue to do this thing called recovery, and regaining and reclaiming our lives. Through support, and no matter how far you are, you can send that support through the universe.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you to all of you, and may you all have better days.
Yeah. All right, Craig. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right.